Hello, and this is going to be my review of Project Hail Mary, um, brought to you by Amazon. Now, I had been waiting a while for this to come up on Amazon Prime, and now it finally appeared. It spontaneously showed itself on this thing, this I don't know. It can't even. It's really alien. When you think about all the things that we've created, they themselves are alien. You know. Um, what should I start with? Like, I wanted my mom actually to be in on this, but she ran as fast as I've ever seen her um, run before. She's like, "No, I'm going to bed." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "You don't want to give the internet your opinion on Project Hail Mary?" I'm sorry, Ryan, but you're not her crush. Um, that honor belongs to Keanu Reeves. Now, I'll start with the plot. Let's start with the plot. So, there's some world-ending problem that has to be resolved, and there's these drastic measures that have to be taken in order to save the world. Save the cheerleader. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. It's been a long time. Been a long time since we've had actual heroes. And so Ryan's a school teacher. As I already forgot the character, Grace, Ryland Grace. And that's the I think that's the curse of celebrity, is that when you get to a point of being so well known, that people don't see you anymore as a character. They see you as the actor, you know. And you lose that suspension of disbelief. I'm not saying that this is an example of that. It most certainly is not. But as to little that I know about you, Ryan, um, I like this half Nelson and maybe a little bit of A Place Beyond the Pines. That's that, and then mixed with the Stuntman movie, um, Fall Guy, the Fall Guy. Yeah, I think those like four different characters plus five, whatever. Those are most exemplary of Ryan as an actual person. If I were to make an educated guess. Um, or maybe like half Nelson, because I look at Ryan, and we come from very similar places, and how different my life would be if I had chosen acting instead of painting or drawing or working on cars and airplanes, and then really freaking the shit out of people with what I know about psychology. So like, if I were, and then I'm like thinking that I hope that it never comes to that where someone has to inject me with a sedative to put me on some caravan and then launch me into outer space, with little to no hope of return, which is implicitly communicated that it's supposed to be a one-way trip. This is a suicide run. Now, those of you who are accustomed to suicide runs, they're most often not suicide runs, because there's like this will to continue to persevere against all odds. And that is the greatest and the most depressing part of humanity is that if and when the wrong leadership is at the reins of this stagecoach, um, then okay. So for example, say we're going to use an alliteration here. Someone uses someone falls asleep at the wheel, and everyone else pays for it. Now the extenuating circumstances in this movie, in which okay, so the other two officers, they perish in the journey, and so he's left alone to his own devices, and he wakes up because, well, he was injected, and he was forced on the ship by his comrades. That he woke up and he's like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here, right? And when he wakes up, he looks like I did when I just got out of prison, which I think is hilarious to a degree, but the prison part was not hilarious. Now, this is the part where I would have involved my mother in talking about, again, because I have to keep talking about this in order for me to get any results. At least and then the fair and due compensation that for which I deserve, because, well, the justice system fucked up, because it's populated by people. A system, every single system in engineering, its greatest flaw is the user, is the person, right? And this guy, he didn't have any training. They just put a needle in him and put him in a meat sack, right? And then they called that a justifiable measure. Like what happens if the projections were wrong, right? There's a lot of variables in this, as there is in any kind of high risk situation. And I've done a couple of Hail Marys. I really have. I understand what that is. And you might think that the feat of packing what you have into a 20-year-old Subaru and traversing across the country is not a big deal, but when you do it for the first time, well, a lot of shit happens along the way that you weren't expecting. And what makes an astronaut? That's a good question, because he says, the character says, I'm not an astronaut. I'm not trained for this. Like I'm a high school, I'm a middle school teacher from Indiana, and he's like, oh, but I'm a failure or whatever else, and he got fired for expressing himself because the lead of whatever it was quite frankly an imbecile. And that highlights how egotistical we can be. And the statement that says she's that the commander of this whole project, the lead, she says, I need people that piss other people off. I need people that believe themselves to be correct. And unfaltering, unwavering, and that can stand on their own, versus the backlash. And then you think about again, there's flashbacks in this, right? There's jumps back to the preceding events before he was forcibly placed onto this spacecraft. And if I'm going to say anything of the character flaws, he seems like a traumatized kind of guy, which seems to be a little bit of Ryan's shtick. It was like when Ryan rose in the era of soft men, men that weren't typically thought of as this buff, burly action hero kind of person, and he even says it of himself that Drive was his superhero movie, right? And if Ryan ever does again, I'm staring at your the image of your face here, Ryan. So I'm trying to have a conversation with something that can't speak back to me, which is strange. And I understand again, part of this whole movie was the process of learning how to communicate with a being that does not only sorry that does not only not oh my goodness, my brain is whoa, it's going haywire right now. Not enough nutrients, carbs. You need carbs, okay? Um, so not only do they not speak the language, they don't even share the same atmosphere or the same physical characteristics. This is very accurate. There's nothing within our own biosphere that can predict exactly what kind of life is going to appear somewhere else, and if we're going to have the tools to recognize that life form in that moment. And so that's kind of what makes sense to me as to why they would send a school teacher, because, well, a school teacher should be able to explain everything to a 5-year-old and have them understand it, repeat it back with comprehension. So he doesn't exactly understand why, besides the accident that kills off the science team in the movie. And again, there's a lot of references to historical events or to other space movies in some of these shots, and I imagine that was done on purpose. Again, like sort of not fan service, but like crew service. Like the people of doing the movie is service to them, and all these film nerds that I don't know stimulate themselves to some obscure movie that happens to be in black and white from 1937. Oh man. Anyways, the decision to go back to Rocky in my mind, I remember when I read something online and it kind of spoiled it for me. There was one of the details that was spoiled for me, was the fact that, okay, yes, he goes back to Rocky and he goes to their planet, but that's the most logical thing to do, and it really pulls on the heartstrings in which you have this empathy for a living being, because it doesn't. Rocky is like a xenon metal, right? He's not. He's not a solid thing. So when what happens is that when he's exposed to oxygen, he oxidizes, right? He starts exfoliating and returning to the base elements, that for which is being, right? As we understand carbon-based life forms. Now, again, you might think it would have been selfish to not go back and do something for Rocky and his rock civilization. But you know what? If that was a purely military operation, they might not have. They might have just said, he's on his own. He went his way. We're gonna go our way, and that's it. And you see a lot of that, like again, like the military mentality in stuff like this. Obviously as a reference or as a inside joke for someone, because who's to stop the film crews from actually doing that, and why would you want them to? Some productions, they turn fan service into a profession, they turn the entire movie into one scene after another of references, and that ruins it for me. It doesn't make it special anymore. Again, if you specify something into obscurity, it no longer has meaning. And the same way in which if you overpopulate something, it becomes commonplace, and we stop loving it as much. We stop appreciating it. And as I've communicated before, I have a hang up about using the word appreciate. Um, Maybe that's for a therapy session that I might not ever go to. Um, hmm. And like the motivation to go to Rockies because of being forced onto that spacecraft, you know. Um, and in the same instance, if the lead's job is to prevent failure, right? Is to ensure the success of the whole thing, while they're on Earth anyway. And I'm thinking to myself, if he decided, if they had actually honored his body autonomy, right? And gave, that wasn't the case, because as far as I can tell, they were in where they sedated him. They happened to have been in China. So, Human Rights Watch. Eh, goodness gracious. So yeah, then he goes back at the end to teaching the other to his previous role as a school teacher, and basically teaching these rock beings the English language, so that they could continue to have some sort of line of communication between the two planets, when that would happen sometime in the future, because, well, obviously it would be years down the road. Um, you know, I don't know if I could go that long without seeing another human being, as antisocial as I am. At the same time, you know, I gotta tell you, there's just some places or some spaces that I just I don't want to share with other people, and that's demonstrated in the in the movie at the beginning, where he's like, we're individuals, okay? You work on your parts there, and I work on my part here. We don't cross the streams. It's fucking weird. Oh man, um, I just caught myself making fun of one of the, well, not making fun, doing an impression of one of the guys from Red Letter Media, and of course I'm gonna tag you in this, like, obviously. Um, you guys, Red Letter Media, you guys did a review of this, and I didn't watch it because I didn't want the spoilers, so I may end up watching it now. Um, huh. Now, production values, spot on. You guys sank a lot of money into this movie. At least that's what it appears. You made a good enough movie to make Adam Sandler have an orgasm without anybody touching him or him touching himself. I don't know you, Adam. I just hope you have thick skin. Anyways, um, yeah, I would say this is a quality movie, right? The the attitudes, or like the life that Ryan has, you know, isn't very much, right? It's like he's hiding, right? And then they call him out on that. You know who you are. We know we'll figure it out, etc., etc., etc. And that's a bit of military humor. And I could, if and when someone does, happen to infiltrate my house and inject me in my sleep, and then I show up, I wake up in some at some military base or naval ship somewhere with like a bottle of whiskey in front of me. Yeah, okay, this is very strange. Oh well. Just I got nothing else to say. This good movie, all right, good movie. I didn't think it's not my favorite Ryan Gosling movie. Um, I'm not gonna tell you which one is my favorite, and we'll just go from there. I did watch the credits. I guess there's an open invitation for me now, kinda. But like my problem is money, and if I don't have money, then it's not really a problem now, is it? I just have to find people that, uh, find me interesting and trustworthy enough to give me their Bitcoin dollars or whatever else that they made from nothing, because well, this is what poverty looks like in 2026. Isn't that amazing? Like I live off of less than $700 a month. I got talent coming out of my ass, and I had the Sisyphean battle against the Rainbow Mafia in order to have any kind of living, which is really, really enraging. It is. Anyways, make another space movie. Make another space movie. Not now. I would wait until the right time, until you have the right script in front of you and the right people. And again, people are the weakest part in any system. We are the weakest link. Not the spaceship, not the computers that we get to make decisions for us. We are, right? And this movie, again, I think there was some mention about this because I had watched, Adam Sandler's thing about the movie set, the rotating barrel movie set. Is that this movie is about making connections, and it's trying to it attempts, and it does not fail at celebrating humanity's best characteristics. And he plays this not an everyman Joe, not for the lay people, but an everyday Joe for the academic type, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ryan, you look at my life. I wonder if you see a bit of yourself in me. And the best kind of actors are the ones that you can see a bit of yourself in the characters that they portray, and that takes effort. You know, I haven't really figured out what attracts or what kind of person is really attracted to being on screen, because I eschew. I try to stay away from the spotlight. I'm not saying that I have stage fright, although I've had stage fright in previous, but I'm not exactly getting on a Concorde, or actually a Boom Aviation supersonic aircraft to La La Land. Maybe that's another Project Hail Mary. I don't know. Get Noel to Hollywood. Well, what the fuck am I gonna do there? Or maybe get Noel to Wisconsin. I don't know. Um, there's a world of possibilities out there, and this, despite the pain that I hold because of what other people have done to me, I would like to see the best in other people. Um, but I'm prepared. I would like to think that I'm emotionally prepared for the opposite, because I've seen a lot of moments where other people disappoint me. And again, I don't raise actors or rich people, famous people to a level for which is unattainable, and it's like putting them on a pedestal, right? That's exactly what drives famous people um, to ruin themselves, to run from this moment in which they've risen above and they didn't really want to. What I wanted when I started this channel, I didn't want revenge. I wanted to get people's attention. I didn't want to beg for it. I didn't want to try and buy my way, through the services that the technology offers. I didn't want to buy my way into people's hearts. I didn't want to extort them. What I wanted was for someone to listen and to shed the shell that was that this person had constructed around themselves, to survive in the society or the reality that for which they thought existed but does not, and was willing to destroy themselves in the process in order to keep living that way. And that is really tragic. It's really tragic, to think about all of the wasted time because someone was immature. And again, maturity, emotional maturity is of great importance. It's as of great importance, the same as this kind of intellect, deductive reasoning. And there's two kinds of people that you can't trust, and I've said this in other videos. The first one is someone that is ruled by their emotions. The second kind of person that you can't trust is someone who doesn't have any or doesn't understand what emotions are. Those are the two most dangerous kind of people. And more than likely, their decisions will lead to your ruin. So we'll just end it there. Anyways, I like this movie. Again, I don't know, man. I wasn't. It's not making me, jump up for joy. Um, it is more than competent. Did I have some risings of emotion? Yes, I did. It's of good quality, maybe interstellar quality, and I think it's worthy of remembering. Let's put it like that. I think that Project Hail Mary is worthy of remembering. Anyways, we'll see you next time.